Hey guys, this is Played With. It's another TF Tuesday. I'm going to start doing Transformers reviews on Tuesdays just because it's got a great ring to it. This is one of my favorites. This is Transformers Siege Jetfire. Now, you can see here, I got some armor already set up on him. I was actually really surprised as I checked out other reviews when I was thinking about purchasing him. He is kind of a hefty bot with an $80 price tag here in the US. And frankly, as you can see, he comes with a ton of accessories that help kind of trick him out. So for 80 bucks, you're getting a really large Transformer. I mean, he's bigger than the size of my head. And I've got a big head, so I'd say it's pretty much worth it. Now, this was the remake of one of my favorite toys of all time. I've got him right here, the original problematic editing of the Transformers world. Kind of a problem of his existence for his parents, but totally awesome anyway. Anyway, you can see in this guy that he's got some yellowing here, and a lot of people were worried that with a new white big Transformer that they were going to get the same kind of thing, and unfortunately it's true. Some of his plastic up here on the shoulders is beginning to yellow. It's softer plastic that's not necessarily made to be really hammered on. So it's a little bit softer because there's so much molded detailing in it, and it's already begun to fade. Now, this guy for me is kind of dirty because I love playing with him. I love transforming him, and I've got 4 modes I'd like to go through for at least what I'd like to show you guys that I've begun with. This is the Ultra Armor mode. Now, you can see he's got his double buster guns, leg cannons, hip armor. He's got all his guns, extra guns pulled apart and stuck into his shoulders for defensive maneuvers, his chest plates, and his face mask. Now, there's more technical terms for all of that, but I don't care, so I'm not going to go look him up and tell you. If you guys buy him, you can look him up yourselves. I guarantee that it's a lot of fun, but for me, I'm not sitting here thinking like, oh, it's an ion cannon. No, it's just a little plastic bit thing that I'm going to put in every single orifice on his body. I didn't mean to say it like that. That's not what I meant. Anyway, he's a really awesome bot. I love this guy, and I strongly suggest you get your hands on one. But let's peel him apart and show you what's underneath all this armor. So here, I've got these guys. Now, a lot of people in the reviews that I saw don't know that these come apart from the leg cannons. They've got them posted on his arms, and they come in the package with no instructions telling you that they can separate. So here, when you look on the back side, it plugs into the port and they snap together just like that. So it comes in the package like this, but they don't actually describe that you guys can just fiddle it apart and take it out. Now, I was going through and playing with him and trying to get as much out of this bot as I possibly can, and frankly, I am very pleased with it. I'm gonna go ahead and take these all off. And there's a lot of other options that I've done. I've tried sampling all these in different places around his body, and he looks great pretty much any way you slice it. These little tabs fold in when you're not using the armor. And here in the chest, the super secret switch over when he changes sides. Now, I usually leave that in Autobot mode, but again, I didn't grow up on the cartoon. I didn't grow up on the comic books. I just grew up on the toys. So these little guys fold in and snap back. And here we go. That's basically just regular Jetfire. Now the guns, let's set him over here. The guns themselves also have a couple of things worth mentioning. On his chest plate, you can pop his face mask in, and that's where it gets stored. Closes like that. And sometimes I like to pop it off and just take this with me. And while I don't leave that necessarily in there, sometimes I'll use it just as a regular plate like that. I don't know what this hole is for. I imagine that they planned on doing something with it, but it doesn't snap into anything. It doesn't connect to anything, and it's really hard to access with the plate in the way. So I'm not really sure what it's for, but you know, if you guys figure it out, let me know. I'd love to fucking add it to my method of play. For the double guns, when you take them, they have 2 little posts and they fold back. This reminds me a lot of some of the Gundam figures. they came out with in the early 2000s. They snap together and become double guns. And it can create kind of a cool blaster if you take this and add it on top. So it's not necessarily canon, no pun intended. I mean, yes, no, wait. Yeah, anyway, it looks awesome anyway, and it looks awesome when he's using it. The main armor turns into a compact collection of all the different pieces for him when he goes into jet mode. And what I'm doing here is I'm combining these so that they can reduce down. So here, the little ones that look like lightning rods just plug into the ones that look like afterburner cannons. And then the missile pods plug into the sides. And then their fins can plug into the side of the armor. And what's neat about that is when he goes into the fourth mode that I use him as, bomber mode, it basically acts like the old G.I. Joe missiles where you can just push it off and it drops. So it's like a bomb, you know, or like whatever. And sometimes I'll twist them to the side just to pretend like they're little switchblade bombs, you know, just for a little bit of extra fun. One of the nice things about him, if I can find it, is that he's pretty easy to post up on stuff. He's very easy to, he's very posable. He's got a lot of different posability. I mean, he's, you know, capable of doing Hamlet if you need him to. He looks up, he looks down. There's a lot of swivel to him. The legs themselves can move around quite a bit. They've got good ratchets to them, so any way you pose him is pretty strong. It's pretty capable of holding itself up. What you just heard was the leg ankle rockers basically getting plugged in. They've got tabs that they actually plug into to give him more support when he's standing straight up and to make sure that the ankles don't actually flop around. And I really like that. Now, with Hamlet here, I'm going to go ahead and transform him after I get done with putting this together for you so I can show you what it looks like. But essentially, the package will tell you that these all can plug together. The leg armors, the hip armors plug into the sides of the gun, and then those plug into the underside of the armor. Now you can go guns backwards, guns forward, you can flip them around. And he also comes with little blaster pieces. And I know I mentioned this in my first video, but I've got cats that like these things, so I've got to keep them hidden. I really like these. They're really great molding, just like the rest of them. I mean, they just look absolutely incredible. And they're really good plastic. They're lightweight and flexible, and they plug into each other, and they plug into the other 5mm holes really easily. So that makes me very happy as somebody who likes to play with his toys. But he also comes with an engine, which goes into the center cockpit. Now, this has a 5mm port on the back, and I don't know what that's for either. So again, if you figure it out, let me know, because I want to play with it somehow. So on the back side, we've got his jetpack, and I just want to say, if you guys get your hands on this, take the time to go through the crevices, because he has so much intricate molding on him. It's so delightful and tasty. I mean, just everything all around the back sides, from inside, every single little crevice. The only place that he doesn't really have molding are in areas like where his head goes when he transforms. There's nothing on the inside of there because visually you're not really supposed to be looking at it. It doesn't ever expose itself, so it's kind of like, what was the point? But even with his legs, when we go to transform him, we fold these up, and he has molding underneath the legs. When you go to flip them over and bring out the back of the afterburners, even the inside of these have wires exposed. The insides of the legs have other molding that's not the same as the stuff on the outside. It's such a good figure. I mean, under the ankles, it even has some molding. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not fresh molding, but it's not necessary for it to have a little bit added to it. I like it. I didn't expect that. I was really thinking it was going to wind up being a transformer that had a lot of empty spaces, kind of like the original G1s, but they've really gone the extra mile to make sure that these siege bots The Earthrise bots, they've just got every inch of them detailed. And I'll be honest, for the price point, that really makes me feel a lot better about it. I mean, they did bump these up from some of the, here in the US, they bumped the price up from some of the Combiner Wars figures and stuff like that. But when I look at the Combiner Wars figures, they feel like they're missing a je ne sais quoi, and it's molding. The je ne sais quoi is molding. That is what they're missing. They're missing an enormous amount of detail compared to these new figures. So I'm loving it. But anyway, so I'm going to finish transforming him here. Oh man, I'm sweating. It's hot in here. If I turn on the fan though, you guys won't be able to hear me. So flip his legs up here. And then up here, his arms pop down like this. His head rolls up. And there we go. Whew, man. Okay. Get the arms tucked away. And you can see it here. Inside his chest, there's just a cavity full of extra molding. It's absolutely insane. Even the underside of his head piece, where his head goes, is also molded. Like, whoever made that decision, bravo. Bravo. Thank you. As a fan of action figures, that's what I want to see. It is literally the linchpin that McFarlane Toys has held over so many other action figure producers in the market. It's sort of the thing that G.I. Joe was always so good about, was all the extra guns with all the stupid molding that you could get out of all that stuff. Even all the little veins that popped off of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles forearms and stuff was just absolutely unnecessary, but really made those toys just a little bit of an exceptional fun. So I'm going to fold these guys in, and there's a couple of 5mm ports that tab in here for security. You got to fold this down. Sometimes I forget to do that. His wings fold down, and then these bits come around. And you got to check them to make sure that these tab in correctly, or else they'll flop around. Now here I'm going to open the nose, and you can put the Titans Return figures in here, or you can wind up plugging in his engine. It snaps in. It's pretty solid. It's not going to shake out or anything. Close that up, flip the nose around, and then here in the back the jetpack pops down, and you can see inside I've got a couple of the Power of the Primes figures in there riding shotgun. This comes back, and then this little windshield is flexible. You want to make sure that you clear it as you're putting it down so that it doesn't close it. It can sandwich the thing in between the back of the pack as it's closing. Now, these afterburner areas need to plug in as they flip up. So I'm going to get that right here. And they've also got tabs underneath them. This can be kind of tricky, but I'm okay with it. It's a solid fix. We've got the wing sections. These flip down, these flip back, and these come over. Same on the other side. And you're going to want to make sure it's a double hinge right here, so you're going to want to make sure that it gets straight. You don't want to put any sideways pressure on these things because they do feel a little bit fragile, even though they're pretty well constructed. And there we go. Siege Jetfire in jet mode. Now, this thing's a beast. I don't know if any of you guys picked up the Masterpiece version of him. I love the look of it. I don't own it, but oh man, that thing looks so cool. And again, I've said it in previous videos, I love hard to transform Transformers. This guy's my cup of tea. He is absolutely a dream work of Transformers ingenuity. It's stupid, it's bulky, it looks great in both modes. There were so many features to it that I discovered that weren't in the instructions, which was also a really big selling point for me because, you know, if you're going to drop 80 bucks on a figure plus tax, I mean, this is the way to go. But when you're looking at him just all the way around, like, it's just such a fantastic Transformer. And I love that the fact that it doesn't look like he's just hiding underneath here. Like, you can see that there's some legs here, and you can see that there's some arms here, but his fists aren't showing, his feet aren't showing, his head's not showing. I can get behind that. That's okay with me. Now, there's a way that I doll him up so that none of this winds up getting exposed, and that actually makes me even happier. So I'm going to show you bomber mode here in just a second. But before I do that, I'm going to show you guys what the little molded blast effects look like. That looks great. I mean, just a couple of these around. You can put them on the guns to make it look like it's shooting. It's really terrific. And I know that they've got little blast ports to be able to plug them in. Let's see if we can find one real quick. The ones on the side to make it look like he's getting hit. You know, it just looks really solid all around. It's a great figure. I'm very, very happy with it, and I'm probably going to gush about it even a little bit more after I get done gushing about it right now, because I'm just so incredibly happy. The main gun, when it's turned into the dual cannon version, with everything attached to it, just plugs right into the back, and you can just ride around like that. That's the expected look for the jet mode with all the stuff attached to it, and I can get behind that. It's pretty cool. It's a pretty solid looking character from the top. It looks just like it's gonna go fuck some people up really bad. I mean, just other Transformers better look out. However, I was not satisfied with just that. I sometimes put his little fins up like this. Sometimes I put him out like this. I have just started doing this, and I like it a lot. Now, I know some of you guys know the show, you know the old cartoons, and he's got the little handles that other Transformers can ride on when he's giving them a ride, and that seemed to be the only thing that he was used for in the show, was just a carrier. That's unfortunate, because his backstory is really great, and very similar to this guy being a knockoff of another show that then got sued, and then they had to pay out money and stop producing him, and that's part of the reason why we didn't get more versions of him, because they didn't actually know how to design a new one for a long time. This guy's great. He just fulfills all my needs. So, on the underside, we also have more of the handles. These are also the hip areas, the hip 5mm posts that the hip armor plugs into. So there's that. And they go to the side, or they can go to the inside depending on where you want people to ride. But I like to put these straight out, and I will show you guys bomber mode. Alright, so what that entails is we have to take off all this stuff again. And the 5mm ports that these plug into, these little tiny ones right here, I disassemble these again. I plug these, the double cannons, into his legs right here and aim them forward just a hair. Do it on both sides. And there's a little bit of swivel to it, which is nice, but when you plug them in this way, they look more natural. He also has 5mm ports on the inside of his legs when they're fully extended, because on the back here, that inside piece right there, that's a half C, and you can plug stuff into that when he's actually in robot mode, but I just don't know what to put there. It's in between his legs, and since it's only a half port, there's not really much you can plug in there that actually works, so I'm on the fence about it. But with that, now he's got his guns, and you can plug these directly in, and it sits perfectly connected to both. It's just the right distance. So you don't have to worry about being able to have it fall off really simply. It plugs right into those posts, the perfect distance apart. Now these guys separate. And there's not really a good way to pose him in this mode, but if you've got one of those plastic holders that holds up your action figures, lets you pose them, and then they can float in the air, looks like they're flying, any of that kind of stuff. There's plenty of places to plug one of those things in on him. These guys, I tilt them a little bit back, just a hair, not much. And the reason why I do that is because I plug those into these portions on his wings. So we'll go here with this one, and here with this one. Angle those up straight, and then I angle them down just a little bit so that you can see he's starting to look like he's getting ready to just go light some people up. Now these I wind up plugging in to the front, and these arm 5mm posts that the fists actually fold out and then plug back into in order to keep them in place. I plug the bottoms of those into these. Now this gets a little bit tricky because they overlap here, but the way it looks makes it worth it because it's extra added armor that covers up that entire space that looks like there might be a robot hanging out inside. And then on top of that, let me see, I've got, oh that's right, flip these guys out real quick, drop them down. Even I forget how I transform him sometimes, and that can be problematic. Get the last one in here. Now, you can also swap these guys around and give him different places that they fold into. But there you go. Siege Jetfire bomber mode with an enormous number of cannons aimed down, bombs that he can drop, guns ready to just light up everybody that he's passing over. And it's a great alternate fourth version for this figure, especially if you're looking for something else to kind of display him as that looks like he might go, you know, into a mode that makes sense for the Transformer. When it comes to storing all this stuff on him, it's also a really great way to give yourself a little bit more of a dynamic pose to him so that he doesn't seem so static with what came as a factory preset. And you can see here, it's almost unnoticeable that the armor overlaps, but it does completely cover the central section of his body and what also looks like a very large hollow space. Now, he is a little bit bulky, so when you display him, he will sit back, he'll rock up. But what I've noticed is that, for the most part, if you have him set up like that, it still looks really fantastic. I love it. I can't get enough of it. So, anyway, I hope you guys liked it. I hope you guys wind up getting one of your own, and I'd love to hear from you guys about what you like about him. And if you've discovered anything else about him that I don't know, hit me up. I'm more than happy to hear about any sort of play value that you've gotten out of him that I haven't been able to talk about. Anyway, till next time, have a great one.